Welcome to a brand new episode of NH Unscripted. Yeah, baby, got my Nehru jacket on, my bell-bottom pants, and my platform shoes. Your job, kick back on the waterbed. Pro tip here, make sure the heater's turned on. That's from experience. Get the lava lamps going, fire up the incense, because we're coming in hot today. We're coming to you from the Taj Mahal-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. My God, it's cavernous in here. Cavernous, I say. Yeah, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your Sony Walkmans. 101.9 FM for those beautiful souls in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL, and there's a lot that happens out there. Hopefully, if I remember, I'll tell you a little bit more about what's out there later on. So the other day, I got an email inviting me to the annual meeting of the Capital Area Beekeepers Association. And so I said, yeah, I'll go. I kind of had this thing for honey, so I thought I'd go see. And it scared the bejesus out of me that night. Let me introduce my guests today, David Priebe and Dorinda Priebe. Is that correct? Did I get that right?
Correct.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. David, help me out here. David is an apiary inspector with the state. Yeah?
Correct. I work for the Department of Agriculture in the state of New Hampshire as the one and only state apiary inspector. And Dorinda is a consult to the apiary, and so we get to do this role together.
Very interesting. Did I see that? Were you there at the meeting the other night?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you were. Sorry about that. I would have checked in with you. So tell us, first of all, what does that even mean? You just go around looking at beehives? I mean, what's the depth here of your job?
Yeah, great question. So the role is primarily regulatory. There's RSAs regarding the movement of honeybees, live honeybees, and used equipment across state lines. So primarily, I'm here to protect and promote apiculture.
Okay.
And what we do is attempt to curtail the movement of dangerous organisms in commerce. And so for honeybees, there's 3 regulated pests by rule. One is a bacteria, American foul brood. One is another bee, the Africanized honeybee. Remember all the killer bee stuff that went on back years ago?
Yes. They were afraid they were moving up.
Yeah, and then the third one that's regulated by rule currently would be Tropolelaps mite. It's a mite that is not in North America yet, but we know that it's moving west, and so we already have it in rule as a regulated pest. So what does it mean to be regulated pest? It means if you think you're seeing these pests, you must report them to the Department of Agriculture. And if you do, then I would be called and dispatched to go get samples and collect in the field. So that's how the regulatory part goes, but we will also have a consultation service where beekeepers can call us, and we'll work over the phone with you primarily, get pictures from your mobile devices and such, and try to assess what your issues are that you may be reporting to us.
So before we get too deeply involved, is there an email address or a URL where folks can go get in touch with you?
Yeah, you could just Google New Hampshire Department of Agriculture, and then you would see the tabs for beekeeping and apiaries, and find all of the links below that.
Okay.
Yeah. Including how to contact. Yeah.
Okay. Is there, how do I even phrase this? So I thought I was going to go and it was going to be a nice evening of all the beekeepers kind of shaking hands, happy that they're making money, or the spring's coming, they're going to open up their hives. And then I'm in the middle of this threat. This ugly beast that you're worried is coming over, possibly on a ship or something, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Then they're talking about mites, and then and I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I'm ever going to be a beekeeper. What is your biggest concern at this point? There was that bug that was coming over. That was the ugliest thing. That
right,
yellow-legged, green-legged, something or other, purple-eyed people eater.
There was quite a bit that was mentioned, but if I recall correctly, Dorinda, check me if I'm wrong here, there was There was two main topics on the evening. One was the introduction of a new miticide called Naroa.
That's right.
And that was for control of the existing mite problem that we have right now, the varroa mite, varroa destructor, which is a major negative pressure on our bee colonies. Not only does it parasitize adults and immatures, it also vectors viruses, and so it can make your colony sick, and eventually your colony will perish if you don't keep this mite level low enough beyond the injury level colony. So that was covered by a representative from Greenlight Biosciences.
That's right. That was on that Zoom call.
Yeah. Yeah, was his name Eric? I think he did the first hour or so, and then I spoke about Tropolalaps.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Yes, yours was the one that frightened the big Jesus out of me.
Yeah. And so the thing with mites prior, in North America, we were unprepared for the first mite invasion, if you will. That was the honeybee tracheal mite. And that somehow got into the United States of America, and that devastated colonies. And we were unprepared. We didn't know why colonies were perishing. And so it took a while to figure out, and then it took a while to figure out how to control mite levels. And then the varroa mite came along, and it was a similar course, right? We weren't prepared and devastated colonies, and it took a while for the industry to sort out how do we control this new pest now on our honeybees. Well, learning from those two, there's an effort to not be in the same position when this new mite arrives, if it ever does. So the intent of me being on that meeting that evening was to educate the beekeepers to detect. How do you detect this mite? Now, we hope that there's enough defenses in place that the mite does not get into the Americas. Right now, there's no evidence that it's in the Americas. But anticipation of the two mites before, we know that it probably will eventually get here, and we want to detect it early and do our very best to contain it, control it, not let it move.
How do they get here? When you say that we're afraid they're going to come in or they're going to get here, how are these mites getting here? Are they on like the Gulf Stream that blows through, and they're just happy little buzzards?
Well, it's like probably every other pest. Man moves them somehow.
Yeah.
Because we are an organism that moves things, right?
Yeah.
What was the word? The Arthropocene, something like that. The generation that we're in, or the epoch that we're in, with man moving organisms around the globe, and and this has caused havoc with ecosystems globally. And so practically, it's going to come probably on a container ship, but any way that anything gets moved into the country, it could be moved in on. We just, we know that its primary native way that it moves is on its native host, the giant honeybee in Asia. But we also know it's moving around on these western bees that we manage for our honey and pollination and other products of the hive.
Where are they? Where is that? You say you already have?
No, we know it's moving on both of these hosts.
Okay.
Right.
Is that parasitic kind of thing? Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, Tropolalaps is a parasitic mite.
Okay, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So over there, we say
where?
in the countries where this has already been a problem,
Yeah.
it's no longer on, this mite is no longer on its native host. It has moved to what we call the western bee, the bee that we manage.
Is that a mutation? Why?
No.
Survival? What is it?
It's opportunistic.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what is the danger it poses?
Well, Tropolalaps parasitizes primarily, as much as we know, exclusively we think right now, the brood, and it damages the brood. So the bee colony will eventually succumb to it as it damages more and more of the baby bees, and the population of the colony doesn't grow. And so it will cause the colony to perish. And it also vectors viruses too. So you have the double pressure. It's being fed on by a mite. The immature bees are being fed on by this mite.
Yeah.
And it's also giving them viral infections. And that combination in concert is usually what causes the colonies to perish.
When you say perish, you mean literally they just get wiped out?
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole colony, it's just gone.
The whole colony perishes.
Is that? Oh, all right. Well, hang on a second. Now you got me locked in. I'm happy, man. You are listening to NH Unscripted, and we are coming to you from the Rowan and Martin Laughing Like Pigs of the WKXL studios in Concord. Can't believe that's where the old sock it to me phrase came about. Anyway, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your transistor radios, 101.9 FM for those beautiful souls in Manchester. Yeah, NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. David Priebe and Dorinda Priebe are in the house. We're talking bees. Bees. How to keep them alive. We'll be right back. Welcome back to NH Unscripted. Yeah, we had to pay a few bills there, you know, commerce kind of thing. We're coming to you from the YMCA Like Pigs of the WKXL studios in Concord. I can smell the pool chlorine all the way over here. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your Stony Walkmans in Concord. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. We are celebrating 80 years of community radio. Man, that's almost how old I am. Not quite, but we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, we're talking how to keep bees alive. So how do people go about this? How you say that they need to monitor this stuff. When do they do that? How do they do that? And then what happens when they do that? Dorinda?
Sure. We're trying to make sure that every time a beekeeper goes into their hives, they assume the role of detective.
Okay.
They're gathering clues, they're paying attention to what they're seeing and experiencing, and we believe that beekeepers that are that astute are going to see changes in their colonies. They're going to observe that they do have brood that's not coming to adulthood. We happen to really love these inspection trays that can be placed below a hive to see what's coming off from bees, and we employ these ourselves.
Can you explain that a little bit more? I've never heard of that.
Sure. Underneath your hive, which is where the colony of bees lives, the bottom piece can be a screen over a bottom board that has a tray that slides right into the back, and anything that goes on up top, things fall through. So we can look at the debris, and we can learn to read the debris and find out a lot of things that might be going on as far as varroa mites, as well as possibly, if your bees are quite what we call hygienic, that they would be grooming each other.
Okay.
We might see evidence that there is either of these mites on these trays. Meanwhile, when we go in to do our inspections, as we call them, we're looking closely to see if we see any of these characters running around. That would instigate an immediate call to the state to dispatch Dave to take a look.
Where do I begin? Okay, so first of all, how many times would people be inspecting in a year? Okay, let's go back to the basics. I know nothing about beekeeping. All I know is I go on YouTube and I watch all these happy beekeepers just adding little boxes to their thing, and they get their little suits on, and they're inspected to get the smoke going. That's all I know about it. And then, poof, there's honey, so that I can buy. So how many times a year do they inspect these boxes, and when are they? Is it just random, or are there times of the year that you expect them to be inspecting these?
Yeah, so there's a principle behind it, and then there's different interpretations of the principle.
Okay.
The principle was established a long time ago by the father of modern beekeeping, the Reverend Langstreth, and he said that you must know the state of your stocks.
Okay.
And so you must know that year-round.
Okay.
But, of course, it's harder to know that state in the winter.
Yes.
Because you would not want to disturb them or cause them any injury. So during the bee season, when the bees are flying, it's not unusual for a beekeeper to inspect their colonies once a week or maybe once every couple weeks. But then every month, they should be doing a more detailed inspection, if you will, to look for varroa mites, and there's sampling methods whereby you could measure approximately how many mites are infesting your colony. And that should be done monthly during the bee season, which is when they are the flying period, when weather and conditions are appropriate for them for flying.
How do they recognize them? Is it visible to the naked eye, or do they have to?
Yeah, they're small, but they
Yeah,
are visible
they
to,
are.
to the naked eye. Yeah, you take a sample of bees, and then you use some solution to knock the bees off the mite, and then you can count the bees that come off the mite. So you take a sample of like 300 adults,
Yeah.
and you either wash the mites off or roll the mites off in sugar, and then you can shake them into a collection tray and count the number of mites and divide by 3, and then you'll have a percent per 100.
Okay, you just blew my mind. You cover them in sugar. Is that what you said?
Yeah, you can use powdered sugar and do a sugar roll, or you could use alcohol. The alcohol would kill the adults, and the sugar probably won't if done correctly.
Okay, I cannot picture this. You open up the cover,
Yep.
and you're looking. At what point are you putting something in a jar with
Right.
powdered sugar?
Exactly. Yeah, so you take frames of bees out.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I know this might
Help
be
me
hard.
out here.
This might be hard for those who can't visualize
That's
and never
correct.
seen a bee colony.
That's
but
correct.
there's a box, and there's frames of combs hanging in there, and you
Yes.
can pull out a frame of
Thank you.
comb that has baby bees on it,
Okay.
and you can take a mason jar and cause the bees to fall into the jar and collect approximately 300, which is about a third of
About a half a cup.
a half a cup.
Yeah,
About
right.
a half a cup, a third of the jar.
Yeah?
And then
You can get that many in a half a cup? 300 bees? Baby bees in a half a cup?
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And so once they're in the jar, of course, you could sugarcoat them, or you could put alcohol in and swirl them around through a screen, and then shake the mites out into a pan or a tray and count.
Then what happens to the bees?
Well,
So-
if they're in alcohol, they're dead.
Okay. Like most of us who
Yeah.
consume too much alcohol. Okay.
Yeah, or drown in it.
Yeah. Come close myself sometimes.
Probably
there.
have a little more trouble drowning in powdered sugar.
I see.
Confectioner's sugar. But, yeah, if done correctly, it's been our observations that you can very reasonably determine your mite loads by using powdered sugar also, if done correctly. So there you'd shake the sugar out into a white pan with water in it. The powdered sugar dissolves, and then the mites float, and you can count them easily.
This is a fascinating world. This is
Right.
fascinating.
And so it, though really this is the topic of detection,
Yeah.
and you can detect directly something by seeing it.
Okay.
Right. But then you can detect them indirectly by seeing the damage that they're doing on your colony. Right?
Okay.
And so beekeepers need to be aware of both.
Are mites
terms of
active
detecting.
during the winter, or are they like awakened too in the spring? Is it-
Yeah. The varroa mite will overwinter with the bee colony.
Okay.
Yes.
What are they subsiding on? The
They're
bees.
parasitizing the adults.
Obviously. Oh, got
Yeah.
ya.
Until brood starts to be produced by the colony in midwinter. They'll start making babies.
So
Babies.
I assume everybody. This is the time of the year, kind of when they're going to start opening up their hives.
Yeah, as soon as conditions permit, for you to open up and inspect brood without damaging. If it's too cold, you could chill the brood. Brood nest is what temperature, Dorinda?
93 to 96 degrees.
Yeah.
Wait,
So
what? In the winter? What?
No, only when they're rearing brood. They go through a period in the winter where we really hope that they're not rearing brood. The honeybee colony is perpetual, and they grow to great proportions in the summer, and they conserve down to a smaller, easier to manage colony for the winter. They don't raise brood for a short period of time, but any time after the winter solstice, they'll begin to raise brood again. So when they do, that leaves a cell for a varroa mite to enter and begin its reproductive cycle. So just as bees are perpetuals, so can the varroa mite cycle, which is why we are tasked with keeping the numbers of them down below what we call economic threshold, which would be about 2%. We don't want any more than 2% of the bees to be infested with these things, and that's why we sample.
So, do you folks have bees yourself?
Yes.
You do. How many do you have? How many? Well, how do you count? Is it by the hive, the box, the bees?
By the hive. So
You do.
I think that I do really well. I think our sweet spot is between 10 and 12 colonies. I've had as many as 15. Right now I have 6. I combined some of mine for the winter.
How many hives is that? How many boxes? I mean, please excuse
Stacks
me.
of boxes.
Yes. So you have stacks and stacks of them.
Well, stacks of boxes, and each colony lives in its own hive.
Okay.
And right now we have 6 colonies of bees inside their hives.
Wow. Any idea how many bees that represents?
Around this time, I would guess 20 to 30,000 bees right now, maybe.
Yeah.
And I have a couple that are smaller that might be
Yeah.
10,000 to 20,000, more like a starter-sized colony.
You have to check every one of them.
Yes.
You do. Oh, hang on. I'm captivated. I hope everybody else is. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I know you're feeling lucky. I know you are. We are coming to you from the Hollywood Square-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. I love sitting in that center square. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your transistor radios. 101.9 FM for those beautiful souls of Manchester. Hey, we got to pay some more bills. What can I say? We're talking bee safety here with the Priebes. We'll be right back. We are one toke over the line. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. You're listening to NH Unscripted, but you knew that, didn't you? Yeah, 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your Sunday Walkmans. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. All right, we're trying to talk here about bee survival. You wanted to bring up a little bit about the consultation part of what you do. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. We have the regulatory role, but we also provide a service to beekeepers where if they have questions or concerns about the conditions of the colony, they can contact headquarters, and then I would be dispatched to contact the beekeeper, and we would go through a process of understanding the history of the colony, the origin of the colony, the conditions of the colony. We'd collect pictures, and we'd do a very careful assessment of the beekeeper's concerns. And then we would organize our thoughts around addressing those concerns around the fundamental principles in bee management, which are good queen of good stock, establishment of the colony, is it good equipment, good combs, good population, do they have food in the right locations, honey, pollen, bee bread, are they disease-free? Is there a disease-free condition? And then are they assisting without detriment? Is the beekeeper doing something wrong? So those are the principles that we would address as we try to analyze what is going right, what is going wrong with the colony. We typically don't get calls if things are going right, do we, Dorinda?
Never.
Yeah.
No, it's when they're really over the edge. So Dave determines if we need to go there based on what we get for information from the beekeepers. Sometimes we can aid them completely right over the phone in a consultation. We gather data, we talk about it separately, then we get together on our ideas.
You tell them to spray DDT on their on your colony. Okay, all right. Thank you.
We get back to the beekeeper, and by then we've asked some really good questions that has caused them to start thinking themselves. Sometimes they answer their own questions just by us directing them. Then we can have a really great conversation to follow up, and they can make decisions about what they're going to do differently in their management so that they can have a more positive outcome. Yeah. But sometimes we really do need to go out there and see it for ourselves, either to assist them to take samples for testing or just to reassure them. Sometimes they really need some hands-on hand-holding, you know?
Yeah. Are we talking like just the backyard beekeeper, or is this a like the commercial ones that,
Yeah, any beekeeper.
they can?
Any. Yeah.
Is there an 800 number? What do they call?
They would just call the Division of Plant Industry
Okay.
at the Department of Agriculture.
Okay. Do I have the number?
Yeah, you have the
in your
number,
card?
not the mobile number. That would be the number.
Which one would I?
You would call 603-271-2561. That would be Division of Plant Industry. And you would say, I need to talk to Apiary. I need to talk to Dave.
After they're done crying.
Well,
I need to talk to Dave.
yeah,
please.
sometimes it's good. Their colonies are being inspected for movement, and that's a fun thing to do, is go see healthy colonies that are going to be moved interstate.
Okay, what does that mean? They're moving from. Is that do they move bees a lot? I would not think you'd want to move a bee.
Yeah,
colony.
bees are moved a lot, not in and out of New Hampshire seasonally, right? So
Wait,
the
in
bees
and out of the state?
in and out of the state, yeah.
Okay,
Well, we're coming into the bee season, so
Yeah.
beekeepers are buying bees,
Yeah. Okay.
and the bees are
Okay.
coming from states that haven't been in winter, probably, right? They're
Wow.
coming from our southern states.
Yeah.
Packaged bees or
Things I never
small
think
colonies of bees called nucleus colonies.
of. Okay.
And those colonies all have to be inspected to move across state lines,
Okay. Okay.
right? Because we're trying to curtail the
Yes.
movement of dangerous
Kind of like
organisms.
wood, right? We have the thing about wood. People bringing wood in. the
Right,
state. Yeah,
firewood,
yeah.
moving bugs
yeah,
and firewood.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Okay.
Yeah, and so seasonally bees coming in, but we may have beekeepers who are moving to different states. They would have to have their colonies inspected before, even if you say move to Maine or to Vermont. And then in the fall, we may have some beekeepers who move their bees down to south to overwinter them in the southern climate.
What? This is fascinating. So let's say I'm an ignorant person. That's not a very far reach. And I'm like, I'm gonna have bees in my garden, and I go online and I buy a box and I buy a suit and I buy a smoker thing. What am I in? Am I then required to let you know that I've done this? Or do you have any idea how many people like me are out there who are just like stumbling through this wilderness of beekeeping? What's happening out there?
Yeah, that's a great question too. No, we don't really know exactly how many beekeepers there are, how many colonies there are. Registration of your bees in New Hampshire is voluntary, so
Okay.
it's not mandatory.
Okay.
It's beneficial to the beekeeper to register the colonies with the Department of Agriculture, because if there was events taking place in their area,
Yeah.
we would notify you. If something that's occurring that might impact your colonies of bees.
Uh-huh.
But if we don't know you're there, we can't.
Right,
we
right,
can't. We
right.
can't contact
Right.
you.
Well, I wouldn't know to register. I would just think I'm having a backyard hobby. I'm going to go out and going to kind of do some beet stuff and hope they pollinate all my little trees and my flowers. I would have no idea to contact you to let
That's
you know.
right. And that's why it would be important to start to go to the New Hampshire Department of Agriculture's website and read about beekeeping in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And you'll see, the beekeeping laws and the rules around keeping bees in the state of New Hampshire. And you can start there, and you'll find the forms for registering your colonies and et cetera.
I had no idea there were rules. I mean, I just thought this was something you just, it's a backyard thing like planting flowers. You didn't have to. I didn't know there were rules involved in beekeeping. Are these rules that the state has set, the city has set, and are they printed out somewhere?
Yeah, the rules are on the website.
Okay.
And the genesis of the rules go back to when there were none, and there was outbreaks of serious brood disease, American foul brood. And it was American foul brood and its prevalence in trying to get control of this highly virulent pathogen that led to the laws and apiary inspection programs throughout the United States, state by state, was to was to control the movement of American foul brood.
Keep that 2% level.
That's what started apiary programs, as I understand it, throughout North America, and into other countries. Yeah.
So, can you give me an example of what a rule might be? What someone comes to you, you say, okay, rule number 1 is. don't do this or do this? Or?
Yeah, you must be inspected if you're moving across state lines.
Okay.
Bees or used equipment.
Used equipment.
Used equipment, yeah, because used equipment is where pathogens could move on used equipment. American foulbrood could move on used equipment. Yeah.
So all bees come from? Can I go down the street and get bees from my neighbor and bring them over? And would I have to register then, or is this just
you
things
can
coming over
within the state? You can buy and sell bees
Okay.
without inspection.
Okay.
Although we highly recommend you as a consumer, if you're going to buy bees, that you ask the vendor for an inspection certificate.
So is this the stuff that's coming in?
But it's not required.
To the post office kind of thing, which
They could
blows
come-
my mind too.
It could come through the post office. They do ship live bees.
Are they typically then already inspected? Should they be coming with like this certificate saying these bees have been found to be?
They typically are. Vendors that do ship bees will send the state inspection certificates in advance. They'll email them to us.
Okay, so in my little pea brain, is there like a place outside of New Hampshire that's like a factory that most people buy? I know it's not a factory, but where people can get these bees, and like there's a central place where if everybody got their bees from this one place, we'd all be happy because they send their notification with them. Or is it just the Wild West and you buy them from
It's a little both, actually. Yeah, so there are vendors that will ship, throughout the United States, large vendors of both bees and equipment.
Okay.
Primarily equipment. The bees are seasonal, right? But then, as I said, we have local vendors who you could buy bees from right within the state of New Hampshire.
Okay.
There to get that kind of information, you'd probably have to be networked into the club system.
Yeah.
State associations and such could give you the names of local vendors of bees.
That would probably be preferable, I would assume, right? Because they're already in the state and
They haven't moved.
yeah.
It would be preferable.
All right. Dang. Hang on. I'm in deep here. You are listening to NH Unscripted. I'm captivated here. We're coming to you from the Gong Show-like digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. No, I'm not the unknown comic. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your transistor radios. That's Concord. 101.9 FM for those beautiful, beautiful, beautiful souls in Manchester. We're talking beekeeping, how to keep these things alive and fresh and healthy in the state of New Hampshire. Priebes are with me. We'll be right back. Welcome back to NH Unscripted. I know you're doing the happy dance. I know you are. I can feel it from here. We are coming to you from the not so overly ostentatious digs of the WKXL studios in Concord. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on those transistor radios. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL. This show comes to you every Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings at 9 a.m. with repeats Wednesday and Friday evening at 8. Monday, we take some time. We take a look at the oldies, chat all about them. I think the last section we did was on the 60s anti-war protest songs. Ooh, my. Feedback time. Anyway, we're talking about bees. Principles. So when we were off air here, you were talking about principles versus rules. Can you give me a little more clarity on the distinction between the two and what some of them might be?
Yeah. Yes, I can. So there's laws and rules that are established for the keeping of bees in the state of New Hampshire.
Okay.
Right. Those do not govern how you go about keeping the bees themselves.
Okay.
Right? And those are just meant to protect and promote the industry itself, the apiculture itself.
All right.
Principles are around the management of your bee colonies. The state of New Hampshire is not here to manage your bee colonies, nor to tell you how to do it, but we will point to you the principles which are true no matter where you keep bees of what must be maintained to have some level of success. And as I mentioned the principles before, we'll go in turn again. Young queen of superior stock Well-established colony. What does that mean? Good woodenware, good boxes,
Okay.
good combs,
Okay.
good population of bees,
Okay.
good location. Adequate food in the right locations. So they need honey and pollen in the proper location seasonally. So they need food, of course.
Right.
Disease-free condition. And that primarily, as we discussed earlier, was low varroa mite levels is the primary pressure. There's other pressures, disease pressures, but that's the primary one that every beekeeper faces. And then assist without detriment, Know enough about the bee biology so you can make good management decisions and not do things unintentionally that injure them. Oh. And so those are principles which would be true no matter where you kept bees.
So how would people know those? If you're a brand new beekeeper, and I would not know, first of all, to contact the state, but I would just go out online and buy a box and buy some bees and think I'm doing everything right. How would people know that there are principles?
Well, this is how we teach, because we discovered it in an old book, The Hive and the Honeybee. We found some very interesting information that goes all the way back to when the Reverend Langstreth discovered bee space and created the removable frame hive that we use today. Before that, it was just direct harvest. People kept them in those baskets you see called skeps. And so that was a long time ago, but the same principles that David just mentioned apply today. But we always recommend that you get a good book, read, study the biology, as David said, and get hooked up either in your own community, or if you go on the NHBA website, you can find all the clubs in New Hampshire, and all the counties have them, where you can plug in with other beekeepers locally for you. Uh-huh. And you can compare notes. You can talk people that speak the same language and wear the same crazy suit and talk about what you put in your smoker. Those kinds of things. It's very important to get plugged in. Beekeeping is better in community, definitely.
Yeah, I can see that. When I was at the CABA, the Capital Area Beekeepers Association monthly meeting, I assume it's monthly. It was pretty fascinating to see them all. They were locked in too. They weren't there just to kind of shake a little bit of hands, which they did do, but they were locked in. They were paying attention to that first display, the Zoom call one, and then when you stepped up, Mother of God, it was just they were ready. They were I don't want that green, yellow-legged thing coming in my head. They were all packed ready for that. So, yeah, I could see the power of that networking. Right.
Yeah,
there.
you'd have a very difficult time if you just were, completely new to beekeeping and you just bought the equipment and the bees and endeavored to have success. It would be very difficult.
But I assume it's fairly common, isn't it? I mean, the people, because who knows? Who would know to do that?
Don't know.
So,
we have had beekeepers that have called us that they've started that way, and then they realized that they needed to be networked.
That would be me. That would be me. I'd get it all set up and then think, okay, what do I do here? So I'd have to find somebody, and I'm assuming I would go out to some forum or something and find out that there's other people like me who have answers. Do people go out to forums, beekeeping forums?
I'm sure they go to forums. I'm sure they go to YouTube. In New Hampshire, you can go to the New Hampshire Beekeeper Association website, and you'll see a list of all the clubs regionally, and then you could begin your networking there. And there you would have communication with other beekeepers at monthly meetings where you could get your questions answered.
Yeah, it's funny. It looks so easy. You don't realize that there's all this involved. I know they got to wear the suit and they have a little smoker thing, but that's about, as an ignorant person on the outside of this, it looks like, it's a cute little hobby. You don't realize the potential, to lose the colony. I mean, you hear about it, but I didn't know why it happened. I assumed it was the cold, you just die off, but apparently that's not it.
That's kind of Dorinda and I. That's kind of our story. We went to a bee school and got a primer, which is what bee school really is at the club level, and then we started managing our own colonies, and we had mixed success. And after a number of years of that, we decided that we didn't really know why they were living. We didn't really know why they were dying. Yeah. And that's when we endeavored to become EAS certified master beekeepers. to really demonstrate our knowledge at the college level. And that was one of the most difficult things we've ever done, right? But also one of the most satisfying things to get that certification.
Yeah, it was tough.
Very, very much so.
Why?
Well, it's a 4-part exam
Okay.
over 2 days now. It's written, oral, lab, and field.
What?
And we studied for a full year and sat for the exams the first time, passed a majority of them, and went back and sat for what we needed to finish up and passed.
Oh, my God.
So the EAS stands for the Eastern Apicultural Society, which New Hampshire is a member state of.
Okay.
And they've, in 1955, they established to be a system where they're promoting good science.
Mm-hmm.
They are supporting research, and they are certifying master beekeepers. We have exams once a year at our yearly annual convention, and David and I have been very strong part of EAS since we began in 2010.
Yeah.
So it takes us outside the state to people all east of the Mississippi and up into Canada, so we can compare notes, and we have a pretty good network throughout the country of friends. They're truly experts.
The world I knew nothing about.
Yeah, when we run into trouble, we can ask those people who have been our mentors.
When the master beekeepers have questions, I'm bothered. That scares me. David, can you give me the phone number again that people can reach people?
Yes. So this would be the Division of Plant Industry.
Okay.
And it makes sense, right? The bees are with the plants.
Sure.
Because that's where the entomologists are. So Division of Plant Industry, telephone 603-271-2561. 603-271-2561. That's the Division of Plant Industry headquarters. And if you need me, you could just ask for Dave, or you need apiary, and they will dispatch me.
Great. So how busy are you?
Right now, not very busy.
Okay,
It's
that's what I
seasonally busy.
assumed.
We expect it to be picked up. The New Hampshire Beekeepers Association just had their spring meeting, and so I had a number of beekeepers who were coming to me asking for inspections of bees that they are going to be selling. So it's starting. It's starting.
So this isn't just people who are opening them up in their backyards. You've got people who are selling and buying and contacting you for that as well. So
yeah, these would be, in particular, these were a couple of beekeepers who are making nucleus colonies, which is just a small colony of bees with a queen.
Okay.
And they are looking to sell them, and these colonies perhaps could go across state lines. And so they would need to be inspected.
So these are for bees coming in, or bees that are going out? Okay.
Going out. Produced in New Hampshire, going out, or within the state, too.
Are there, forgive me for my ignorance, really, are there certain types of bees? I mean, dang it. Oh, kills me. All right. You have been listening to NH Unscripted. Son of a gun, I was right there mid-thought. Doesn't happen very often. I don't get many thoughts. Dorinda Priebe and Dave Priebe have been in the house, so graciously filling us with information about how to keep our bees alive. Man, oh man, so important. 1450 AM, 103.9 FM on your Sony Walkmans in Concord, 101.9 FM for the beautiful souls in Manchester. NHTalkRadio.com is our URL, and we are coming to you from the spa-like conditions of the WKXL studios in Concord. Come to get all my back rubs, baby. All right, we're going to meet you on the next one. Please, if you have bee questions, call them. Call. Let me get it again here. The Division of Plant Industry. David will answer the phone, I'm sure. Thank you.